Hey guys, my name's Jeff. Still absolute F-sharp rookie, which is good because last time we did the poll, we're still in that intermediary stage where we're just learning and we're learning together. So what we've got here is a selection of the news over the last month that I found really interesting, coming from a C# background and transitioning slowly over to F#. But first, we need to thank our sponsors. F# Sydney is sponsored by Zamon. They give us cool stickers, monkeys, and all that type of stuff. Do cross-platform for iOS and Android using C# or F#, what have you. It's good. Pluralsight, they give us training vouchers. They've got a couple, I think about 3 or 4 courses now just in F#. It's good. JetBrains provides licenses for any one of their product suite. So everything from Resharper to .cover or any of their other tools like that. Manning provides books for us. Telerik and of course Redify, who physically host us here today. Alright, next up is local news. On the 6th of February we've got George, and George is running his F# workshop. And if you've ever been there before, it's actually quite good. It's quite good. But if you're not based here in Sydney, and you're overseas, or in Melbourne, or anywhere else in the world, the courseware is available online. Right? So first link is sign up for the course if you're in Sydney. Second and third is instructor notes and then actual courseware, so you can actually try it at home at your own leisure. Alright, this last month in review. Been a pretty big couple of months with Microsoft announcing the open sourcing of .NET, and last week they announced what they've actually open sourced and what's remaining. We've got 25% of projects, 25% of namespaces are currently open source. 75% is still yet to do. If you go to the Microsoft .NET blog, they actually have got an Excel spreadsheet that's about 8 megabytes in size, and it shows everything they're intending to open source that's still not done yet. On that, they also went into more details of how the CLA works. If you've never done it before, you've never been involved with the process, what happens is .NET is now MIT, but they'll only accept contributions if you sign a CLA. So you agree to you surrender intellectual property. If you can't do that yourself, because you're employed by someone, you need your employee to do it for you. So the process works by filling out a form on DocuSign, and then from that point forward, it links your DocuSign account with GitHub, and from that point forward, they've got an automatic robot, and the automatic robot is this Azure CLA or .NET CLA robot, and it just changes the label on the GitHub pull request. And that toggles whether they're allowed to merge your request. So if I had submitted this pull request, which I did for Azure, and hadn't signed my CLA, it would have gone red, right? And the project maintainer would not have allowed the merge. So as long as you sign your CLA, you'll automatically toggle the label right and allow a pull request. So that's how it's working for Azure, very, very similar for .NET. Which is important because Visual F# is now 100% migrated into GitHub. So previously we had Codeplex for issues. It's gone now. They still use it internally for point releases. If you want details on that, check out the video from Don Sim of the last meetup. He goes into details how they use it for cutting their enterprise releases. But otherwise, all the issues are now migrated to GitHub, and that's how they're doing their project management. So it's really important if you want to get involved in the community, you get your CLAs done. Okay, other interesting things in the community is, other interesting tidbits in the community is we have Mike Watts, who reflected back to a paper from 2 years ago from Twitter, which it looks at using futures with Scala. And he goes back and tries to implement and tries to look at where our async T, the shortcomings of our async T in F# or our task T in C# and proposes how to implement futures and promises using F#. So 2 things learned there is comparison of how the differences between Scala, and Scala developers are talking about their futures and their promises, and then you just compare between the two, so it's a really good read. Additionally on that is your server as a function. This is a really good read. It's talking about concurrency at scale. Love it. Additionally on that is I found a few really good talks. Covers from everything from general software development and craftsmanship and care and code. The last .NET Rocks episode was specifically about care and craft and code. They had Uncle Bob talking about the mentorship and how there's 5 million new developers every year coming into our ecosystem. And it's not like there's where the old developers are gone, there just never was much in the first place. So it puts the extra focus on mentorship. So I've been going through here slowly, about 1 to 2 a week, and that covers functional programming, introductory basics from conversion from OO to FB. Highly recommend looking at these talks, they're great. Other interesting things that have been released in the F# community is Project Oance, which is the ACT model, an implementation ACT model. Why this is really interesting is it was done by MSR, and when you look at the documentation, it's actually what's behind the scenes empowering Halo 4. So if you want to know, if you're playing Halo and you want to know how they implemented the actor system for Halo, just look at the documentation. Just scroll down there into the doc, and it actually goes through, actually down to class names saying picked up item, dropped item, picked up ammo, fired gun, and they're showing how they handle concurrency. So really interesting. Next, there was a very good blog post. Very, very, very good blog post. And it was talking about technology adoption. And the blog post was talking about where F# is and in the notion of adoption. And will we see F# cross the chasm? Us being here today, we're early adopters. There are a few startups and financial companies using F#. We haven't really seen penetration into the conservatives yet, at all. So what we're talking about here is from the early adopters, the crossing between the early adopters into the pragmatists. Right? Pragmatists is, if you don't like the word, it's just normal people, just everyday normal people. They don't care what the tool does. They just want the job done. And it goes into and debates whether F# will cross the chasm, and it's putting forward how to argue, or not necessarily argue, but how do you put forward the point of view to someone else that why F#? Why would you choose F# over something else? And how to reason with them. And one of the key points it brings out is. Sorry?
The pragmatist in pain.
The pragmatist in pain, exactly. So it makes a very big, strong point. You speak with you go to turn up to alt.net or any C# meetup, and you talk about F#, and they're like, well, it's nice, but key thing is F# is really, so C# is really good, like really, really good. It is a really good language. F# is better, more succinct, better. But if you speak to a C# developer, you're going to have a harder sell moving someone from C# over to F#. But potentially, if you're going from the other way around, you've got an easier sell for someone from Objective-C to come across to a statically typed language, to a typed language. Anyway, really, really recommend checking it out. It's called Crossing the Chasm. Why F# may or may not make, and I highly recommend reading. Other things in the community last week, Nick, up in Queensland, the creator of AutoFac, has updated SerLog, which is his structured logging framework. Typically, you use nlog or other logging frameworks. It takes the structure and just flattens it completely flattens it, so it makes querying it later much harder. So what SerLog does is it preserves your type and all the structure of your event. So if you had a logging event of a customer has checked out a shopping cart, and you had a model, you could pass that entire model, you can do a query off it. So what he's done is he's updated it because someone called him out. The F# support was horrible. So previously when you had a discriminated union, it didn't populate correctly. And fixed. Another thing I've been finding very handy is there's a Reddit community, r/f#, 2,000-ish strong now, really good. It's how I keep abreast of everything that's going on. Two main things that always keep turning up on this place is one is there's a weekly, we're up to week 5 now, by Sergey, and he's going through and collecting things that happen in the community. If you want in-depth for what NuGet packages get released, or what's changed, or any announcements, proposals for changing of the framework, definitely subscribe to his blog. Week 5 is interesting, but week 4 was very in-depth. Very, very in-depth. Highly recommend reading. Okay, other news. Troy. F# show, episode 2 is out. It was focusing on machine learning. It was an interview with Richard, and he was going into how he's using F# to do machine analysis on money laundering, and to derive a probability score of 1 to 100 whether someone's a transaction is fraudulent or not. Well worth listening to. Interesting thing I picked out of it. I learned about a project called Beacon Notebook. Beacon Notebook is a project used by data scientists. It's language agnostic. It allows you to, it's like LinkPad, but LinkPad is like C# only. This is a agnostic framework that allows you to use, if there's a good library in R, you can pull it in. If there's a good library for data analysis in Python, you can move it in. And you can mux together and you can chart out interactively. So it's just LinkPad for data. You can either generate data tables, or you can go straight to using D3 and generate a graph out. So what's interesting is he's made the F# plugin. So now you can use Notebook Beaker with type providers with F#. So definitely check it out. Handy. It's going to be great when that gets merged in. Next up, a little bit of surprise, next episode of the F# show is going to be Rachel. Rachel spoke at a Zamon Evolve on using F# to make Zamon applications. She's currently employed at a small little startup called Jet. They're doing an e-commerce play. If you're watching this remotely, you're here or over in New York, well, it turns out they've actually got jobs. They're hiring specifically for F# people. And so far, I think it was 10 applicants as of this morning. So, interesting. What's interesting with Rachel is one of the applications from this, it was actually showed, if you saw CES last week, Ford had a keynote. And the keynote for Ford actually used one of those applications, F# Xamarin, at about the 18-minute mark. So it actually showed Xamarin on Android within an F# in a CES presentation. So that was kind of cool. All right. Also on the news, coming up on the 3rd of March for F# Sydney, we've got Adam. Adam is the CEO of WebSharper, which is a framework for using F# so you can do everything from back-end in F# all the way over to HTML and handle all the JavaScript intent from there. We also have Adam from Stat Factory. Adam is responsible for the F# plugin for Microsoft Excel. So he's got a plugin that allows you to use a type provider for XLS, I believe.
Instead of writing macros, you can just write F#.
Yep.
It's called Excel.
Excellent. And also on the 7th of April, we have John, who is here, and he'll be doing a presentation as of unknown yet. And
It's unknown to John.
Yes, I'm going to be.
all right, that's been equally nerve-wracking. We're looking for someone else on the 7th. If you'd like to present the news, or you've got an idea for a presentation, please come see Troy or George. Thank you.